15 of the royal family's most shocking scandals. Scandals are inevitable when your life is constantly in the spotlight. The British royal family has definitely had their share of scandals, which goes to show you that royal life is not always sunshine and daisies. Here are the 15 most shocking scandals in the history of the British royal family. Number 1. King Edward VIII chose love over the throne. King Edward VIII was the Duke of Windsor and the heir to the throne of the United Kingdom when he met Wallis Simpson, an American socialite, in 1931. In 1934, there was a rumor that the friendship between the prince and the American socialite had blossomed into romance. When King George V died on January 20, 1936, Edward VIII was made the king. In 1937, just a year after Edward VIII was made the King of England, Wallis Simpson filed for divorce from her then-husband, Ernest Simpson. As soon as the news of Wallis's divorce broke, people speculated that King Edward VIII played a significant role in the couple's separation. The palace was reported to have asked King Edward VIII to stop the divorce and even suggested that he take her as his mistress, but the king refused both options. King Edward VIII invited Stanley Baldwin, the prime minister at the time, to the palace a few weeks after the news of the Simpsons' divorce went public. He discussed his intention to relinquish the throne with the prime minister in order to be with the woman he loved, Wallis Simpson. Edward VIII proposed to Simpson in 1937. The proposal caused social and political confusion because at the time, the Church of England forbade the king from marrying someone who's been divorced. Wallis Simpson was about to become a two-time divorcee after announcing her separation from her second husband, Ernest Simpson. Edward VIII was quoted to have said in a radio statement to the public in December of 1937, "I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king without the help and support of the woman I love." Edward VIII signed the Instrument of Abdication on December 10, 1936. He was allowed to retain his royal title, demoted to the Duke of Windsor, and exiled to France. He was not able to return to England without the consent of the new king, George VI. In May of the following year, Albert George VI took the throne, which paved the way for Queen Elizabeth II's 70-year reign. Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson married in June of 1937 and remained together until he died in 1972. No member of the royal family attended their wedding. Number 2. Annus Horribilis. The late Queen Elizabeth II described 1992 as a horrible year during one of her speeches. She said, "1992 is not a year on which I shall look back with diluted pleasure. It has turned out to be an annus horribilis." In 1992, 3 of the Queen's 4 children ended their marriages, which gave the press a lot to talk about. Prince Charles separated from Diana, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson split, and Princess Anne divorced her husband. Also in 1992, a fire broke out at Windsor Castle, which destroyed 100 rooms. Number 3. Princess Diana's exclusive interview with Martin Bashir. In 1995, Princess Diana did an exclusive interview with the BBC. The interview contained the dark truth behind the prim and proper ways of the royal family. Diana spoke extensively on the nature of her marriage, which she said was labeled as a love triangle between herself, Prince Charles, and Camilla Parker Bowles. She said the relationship between her husband and Camilla made her feel worthless. "There are 3 of us in this marriage, so it's a bit crowded," she said. She also talked about her struggles with postpartum depression, bulimia, and self-harm. She also admitted to have engaged in extramarital affairs while married to the prince. Diana mentioned that she suspected the prince's staffers were campaigning against her. This statement was confirmed by her former private secretary, Patrick Jeffson, who described the smear campaign as the nastiest bit of War of Wales. The royal couple had been living separately since 1992, and the release of the interview prompted the late Queen Elizabeth to summon them and advised them to proceed with their pending divorce. The interview was the first time a royal family member spoke so freely with the press, which caused serious waves both inside and outside the palace walls. It was later found that significant editorial and ethical breaches were committed by Martin Bashir in his efforts to obtain the interview with Princess Diana. In 2021, the BBC stated that Martin Bashir's behavior was unprofessional and unacceptable. He and the BBC were made to return all awards and recognition won and received on the merit of the interview, and promised not to release the interview footage. Number 4. Prince Philip's insensitive comments. The husband of the late Queen, Prince Philip, is infamous for his inappropriate and often insensitive remarks throughout his 70 years of service to the crown. The prince's long history of harmful comments is listed below. During his visits to China in 1986, he said, while addressing British students, "If you stay here much longer, you'll go home with slitty eyes." He also once said British women can't cook, and told a young student that he was too fat to be an astronaut. He also once told a Bangladesh teenager that he looked like he was on drugs, and asked an Australian Aborigine if they still threw spears at each other. In 2003, the late Queen Elizabeth II visited Nigeria for the first time in 47 years for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. The prince said to the then-president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who was dressed in traditional attire, "You look like you're ready to sleep." His remarks are deeply rooted in colonialism, racism, and white supremacy. His controversial comments resurfaced after his death was announced at 99 in 2009. Number 5. Tampongate and Diana-gate. Tampongate. The infidelity of both parties plagued King Charles and Princess Diana's marriage. The pair separated in November of 1992. In January 1993, a tabloid released the transcript of an intimate phone call between King Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. During the 7-minute-long conversation, King Charles wished to be reincarnated as a tampon so he could live inside Camilla's trousers or whatever she wore. He claimed things would be much easier then. The existence of such raunchy conversations had people question the capability, in terms of moral values, of King Charles to rule. Tampongate also confirmed Princess Diana's claims that there were in fact 3 people in her marriage, with Camilla being the third. Diana-gate or Squidgy-gate. In 1992, a transcript of a phone call between Princess Diana and her childhood friend James Gilby was released. During the 23-minute conversation, he referred to Diana by several different pet names, one of which was Squidgy. Diana acknowledged the conversation in her interview with the BBC following the release of the transcript, and she denied the conversation was adulterous in nature. Number 6. The release of Sophie Rhys-Jones' topless photo. On the 26th of May 1999, The Sun newspaper published a topless picture of Sophie Rhys-Jones, who was 23 days away from her marriage to Prince Edward on June 19, 1999. The photo was taken in 1988 during a roadshow trip to Spain. Sophie worked for Mr. Tarrant as his press officer, and her friend and co-worker Karen Noble took the picture. In the picture released by The Sun, Mr. Tarrant lifts Sophie's bikini top, exposing one of her breasts, and both appear to be laughing at the situation. Sophie felt betrayed by the pictures released to the public, especially since the picture was taken by one of her co-workers and someone who she considered a friend a few weeks before her wedding. Buckingham Palace berated the publication in a statement. This morning's story in The Sun is a gross invasion of privacy and cannot be regarded as in the public interest. The editor of The Sun, David Yell, apologized to Sophie and vowed to never publish her picture again. Prince Edward and Sophie Rhys-Jones got married as planned on the 19th of June 1999 and have remained together. They have 2 children. Number 7. Prince Harry spotted in a Nazi costume. In 2005, public outrage was directed towards Prince Harry as he was spotted in a uniform that resembled the German African Corps and an armband with a swastika. The Sun newspaper published a photograph of him at a costume party with a native and colonial theme. Jewish groups worldwide immediately expressed their dissatisfaction with the prince's choice of dress and labeled it as disappointing. Prince Harry released a statement after the incident. "I'm very sorry if I've caused any offense. It was a poor choice of costume, and I apologize." Number 8. Prince Andrew's scandals. Spotted with Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew was photographed walking in Central Park with Jeffrey Epstein in 2010. At that time, Epstein had been recently discharged after serving house arrest for sexual abuse. In 2019, Epstein was charged with sex trafficking, and it's not a good look for a member of the royal family to fraternize with someone like that. Prince Andrew claims he had turned to Jeffrey for financial assistance to cover the debt incurred by his previous wife, Sarah Ferguson. A close source to Epstein said he was looking to give his public image a facelift, and being seen in public with a member of the royal family was a quick way to achieve that. Prince Andrew's sexual abuse of a minor. A girl named Virginia Roberts Giffray was a victim of Jeffrey's sex trafficking business. She claimed that she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew 3 times in 2015 at the age of 17. The palace denied the claims, and Prince Andrew did a BBC interview denying those allegations. Prince Andrew claimed that while he was with Jeffrey, there were no indications of sex trafficking or abuse. He denied ever meeting her, saying, "I have no recollection of ever meeting her. I can absolutely tell if it happened." Loss of royal and military titles. Andrew stepped back from royal duties soon after his interview went public and was stripped of all his royal and military titles in January 2022. Giffray filed a lawsuit against Prince Andrew, claiming that the prince sexually abused her when she was 17 years old at 3 different places in 2015, one of which was Epstein's mansion. Prince Andrew eventually agreed to settle the lawsuit by paying her a confidential amount of money and also making a substantial donation to a charity in support of victims' rights. Number 9. Show Us You Care. This is the title of a newspaper article published in 1997 condemning the insensitive attitude of Buckingham Palace after the tragic death of Princess Diana. Princess Diana's shocking interview with the BBC in 1995 put a strain on her relationship with the royal family. When the princess died in a car accident in France, no senior member of the royal family, including the Queen, expressed their sadness, publicly grieved over her loss, or comforted the mourning members of society. The palace released a statement on September 4th, 4 days after the princess's death. The statement said, "The insinuation of the public hurt the palace that the palace does not care about the dead princess." The Queen also mentioned in another statement that the family prioritized the safety and well-being of her grieving children, Prince William and Prince Harry, over the need to console the grieving public. Number 10. Sarah Ferguson's photo. Sarah Ferguson is the former wife of Prince Andrew. Barely 6 months after the duo announced their separation, Sarah was spotted with his financial advisor, John Bryan. John Bryan was photographed kissing Fergie's feet and toes while she sunbathed topless during a vacation in Saint-Tropez. Her marriage to Prince Andrew fell apart in 1996. Reports from inside sources say Sarah became estranged from the royal family after the scandalous photo came out. Sarah's relationship with the royal family has since improved. She was a guest at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding in 2018, and she was at the Royal Ascot in 2019, sitting in the royal box along with the Queen. Number 11. Sarah Ferguson and the undercover journalist. In 2010, an undercover journalist approached Sarah Ferguson, also known as Fergie, posing as a businessman. He offered Fergie £500,000 in exchange for some information on Prince Andrew, her ex-husband. She was quoted saying, "That opens up everything you'd ever wish for. I can open any door you want, and I'll look for you. Look after me, and I'll look after you. You'll get it back tenfold." She apologized and showed remorse for her actions. "I very deeply regret the situation and the embarrassment caused. My financial situation is indeed under stress. However, that's no excuse for a serious lapse in judgment. I'm very sorry that this has happened." Number 12. Princess Anne's love affairs. Princess Anne is the only daughter of the late Queen. Her personal life is not as exposed to the public as some other members of the royal family, but that doesn't mean it isn't just as messy. Princess Anne dated Andrew Parker Bowles, the man who would marry Camilla Parker Bowles. When they broke up, she moved on to Captain Mark Phillips, who she first met in 1968. The duo married on November 14, 1973. The wedding ceremony was broadcast live worldwide and was watched by 500,000 people. The couple started drifting apart after the birth of their second child. After a decade into their marriage, the couple stayed in separate rooms while traveling, and their marriage was described as a loveless union drifting along after 15 years of staying together. Mark was found to have another child named Felicity out of wedlock with a New Zealand art teacher named Heather Tonkin. At the time, Princess Anne was reportedly involved with actor Anthony Andrews and her bodyguard Peter Cross. When rumors began to swirl that the two were having an affair, Sergeant Cross was immediately removed from his role. After all these controversies came the secret love letters that were reportedly stolen from the palace and given to the Sun. They transferred the letters to the police, but not before releasing a story about them. Buckingham Palace released a statement that read, "We have nothing to say about the contents of personal letters from a friend of Her Royal Highness, which were stolen and remain the subject of the police investigation." The letters are reportedly from Commander Timothy Lawrence, who at the time was well loved by the royal family. According to rumors, Princess Anne had been seeing Timothy while she was still married to Mark Phillips. Timothy became part of the royal entourage in 1986 and was appointed as Anne's personal advisor. Sources from both parties said this about the duo: Anne has treated him as her closest confidant for some considerable time. Obviously, Tim and the princess are physically attracted to each other, but their friendship goes deeper than that. He cares for her in a way that her husband does not. Princess Anne's dramatic, conflicting, and unfaithful marriage with Mark Phillips ended in 1992, and Anne was married to Timothy Lawrence the same year. Number 13. Pictures of Princess Kate Middleton sunbathing. In 2012, Catherine Middleton and her husband, Prince William, were on vacation in Provence, France. They stayed on a private property owned by Queen Elizabeth II's nephew, Viscount David Linley. At some point during the vacation, Princess Kate decided to sunbathe topless, unknowing that paparazzi were watching her and taking her photo. The picture was sold to a French tabloid named Closer, who published it. The royal family wasted no time filing a lawsuit against the outlet that published it and the photographer that took the picture. A statement from St. James Palace read as follows: "Their Royal Highnesses have been hugely saddened to learn that a French publication and a photographer have invaded their privacy in such a grotesque and totally unjustifiable manner." The statement continues, "Their Royal Highnesses have every expectation of privacy in the remote house. It's unthinkable that anyone should take such photographs, let alone publish them." Later in 2017, the royal couple won the lawsuit against Closer magazine, who was ordered to pay Will and Kate a sum of $118,000 in damages. Number 14. Princess Michael's racist brooch aimed at Meghan Markle. Princess Michael of Kent wore an inappropriate brooch to the late Queen's Christmas luncheon at Buckingham Palace. The brooch is an ancient piece of Blackmore jewelry that has images of slavery and racialism on it. People assumed that she wore the jewelry piece to hurt Meghan Markle, the only non-white member of the family. That incident wasn't the first incident of racism she was accused of. Princess Michael later apologized. She claimed that she did not intend to insult or hurt anyone by donning the brooch. Number 15. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The world took notice when Prince Harry announced his engagement with Meghan Markle. She's an actress, non-British, and a biracial woman. Harry and Meghan married in May of 2018. In January 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan announced that after many months of reflection and internal discussion, they were stepping down from their senior royal roles and focusing on becoming financially independent. And they also intended to split their time between the United Kingdom and North America, and they would continue to support the Queen, the Commonwealth, and their patronages. They bought a home in California and settled there with their son Archie. The reason behind their decision was unknown until their interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021. The 2-hour-long interview revealed the hardships the couple faced from both the media and members of the royal family. The summary of the interview is as follows: Royal life made Meghan suicidal. She was a victim of racial comments and remarks within and outside the palace. Prince Harry felt let down by his father, who reportedly stopped answering his calls. The royal family failed to protect them both financially and emotionally. There you have it, the top 15 most shocking scandals of the royal family. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for notifications. See you in the next one!